going to bring you Steve. And Steve has been has had a career as a Division I official for over 25 years. He worked in 7 Division I conferences. He worked primarily in ACC from 1984 to 2006. He's worked 6 ACC tournament semifinals, worked 10 NCAA tournaments, worked 6 Duke, North Carolina games. I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety there. Worked in 3 Southern Conference finals. And is just a very accomplished official. And now he spends his time observing. And if you don't want to be observed, if you don't want to be evaluated, then you don't want to get better at this. It's the only way. If you're not willing to listen, learn, and we can all listen and learn. Again, we practice officiating. I had a career practicing law. You don't master it. The minute you think you master it is the minute that you get caught on the court doing something that just doesn't work. So, without further ado, Steve Gordon.
Do this without the microphone. We'll give it our best shot. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Everybody shake your hands a little bit, get a little bit loose. You've been sitting in one spot. Wonderful presentation by Mr. Halliday, and of course, I think Al Batista could go for about 5 or 6 hours and take about 3 more breaths, and he could be here all day, but he loves the game, as does Mr. Halliday, who I've not had the opportunity to meet, but you guys really have some terrific stuff this morning to take with you and begin a brand new season. Michael had asked me to, if I would, go over a little bit about what we're doing in Northern Virginia and the observation program, rating program that we're involved in. This does not mean that this is the right way to do things or the wrong way to do things. What it effectively means is this is one association's choice about how to proceed. I've been observing since I retired in 2008, so this will be my 8th year in the program. I'm a senior observer over at the Cardinal Board, and we do, get that first sheet. Observation checklist, yeah. That's good. But I just want to go over just some specifics and then some comments based on the beginning of the season. Basically what we're doing is we break it down into 4 categories. It comes right down to it. You start at the top. It's when you walk in the gym. It's how people perceive you, how you present yourself. Well-groomed, look good, fit, ready to go. We take it, we look at it, the visual. Physically capable of keeping up with the game. You got to think about that. You got to think about being prepared. The faster they go, you got to keep up with them. And the bottom line is that is an assessment that we make on an individual game basis. Then you move down to mechanics. We talk about proper use of mechanics, prescribed mechanics, what we're supposed to be doing, rotation switches. We're looking at the teamwork concept, the teamwork aspect in terms of what we do on an individual time up and down the floor basis. And then correct positioning in terms of dead balls. Are we working as a team? Are we in the right spot? We move down, and this is where it gets important to me, and that's coaches and players and the relationship that we have. We just heard a lot about that relationship, about what you should do. The bottom line is that exercising that during the course of the game, firm and friendly. Are people polite? Are you acting approachable with the coach? You got to watch your facial expressions. Absolutely, positively, need to be careful about grimacing, about making a response to a partner's call. But the key is every coach, whether he says it or not, wants you to be responsive. They want to know what your voice sounds like, and they'll begin to trust you. Coaches, players, take action when warranted. Al went through it, what they do, the parameters of what we do and what we don't do, what we accept and what we don't accept. We've got the ultimate hammer if we need it. Then game management. Real awareness of time, scores, fouls, communication throughout the game with your crew, especially towards the end of the game in dead ball situations. I want to make sure we come together and we're thinking positive thoughts towards the end about handling specific situations based on time and score. Then also rules knowledge and pregame, and of course that comes out throughout the entire game. Effectively, that's what we look at. The key to this whole thing is not the boxes, and the key to the whole thing isn't the little comment that you make about somebody's appearance. The real crux of the matter is the comments that you make about game administration and how we handle the players and coaches and how we work with our teammates. So the bottom line is we then go to the rating point. And this is handled at the end of the year. This is handled at the end of the year. We basically turn in a numerical sequence. You can see it's pregame, postgame communication, the appearance and court presence we talked about in the previous section, rules knowledge, your mechanics, positioning. On top of that, your game management, and of course, ultimately, decision making and judgment, which is what we're all judged on. The bottom line is, it comes out with a numerical rating. It's just divided by 5. That's the way we do it. It's not perfect. You've got different sets of eyes. Eyes of the beholder are exactly what it is. And that is, it's one person's opinion of how you're doing, what you're doing, and the way you execute your responsibilities during the course of the game. But I wanted to go over that because Michael asked me about what we were doing and the situation and circumstances that I've been involved in with Cardinal Board in Northern Virginia for about the last 8 years. Now what I like to do, yes, absolutely.
How do you get this? What do you do?
What do you mean?
How do you implement those scores? I mean, you rank them and
Yes,
say
absolutely.
these guys can work certain conference.
We've got, yes, that's a good question. We've got a rating committee, right, that goes through the individual scores that you get during the course of the year. Everybody's rated. We meet out of season. We've got 2 programs in the off season where we have basketball that's worked in the spring, basketball that's worked in the summer, and we rate people through that program as well. If we have young up-and-coming officials, we get them involved in a program in the summer. We rate them at the end of the year. We actually make an assessment by senior officials within the board. We get together, and there's an assessment about where they're going for the next season.
Tier them, or
It's very difficult, you know, to have sort of a tiered approach, but effectively, you got to have a cutoff somewhere. So we do that, but you know, they are in sort of segments. Yes.
How many games are rated?
As many as you work and as many as we can get observers to. So I can't give you a specific answer about each individual official. The nice part is we've expanded the program. One of the weaknesses of the program is we have a lot of people because of work schedules. We have a retired individual who was within the school system, was a principal at a Loudoun County school, who's going to take over and be a non-varsity rater this year. Now, he'll only be able to get to a certain number of games, but that's a start. So it's a start. So he'll be looking at freshmen and JV games. And the nice part is that we'll actually have a body of work at the end of the year.
But
Him
this
seeing
is
them.
a
Yes.
follow-up. I guess what I was looking at, are each official going to be rated like 3 times or 5 times, or is it set amount of games so everyone's
Well, once
equal?
again, understand, we have half a dozen observers. So how many games can we get to? Whatever number of games we get to is the number of officials that get it rated. So we've got the observers, we've got the commissioner, we've got an assistant commissioner, we have a recreation commissioner, and we have officials working prior to, for example, the JV games. They also rate one another. So, you know, you can get as many as 15, 20 ratings during the course of the year. Yes, sir.
Steve, how do you fund the program?
He said, how do we fund the program? I mean, I volunteer at the end of the year. I get a small stipend, and I probably see 40 games a year.
So it's volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah. We're working for the greater good. I get my check today, right? Yes, sir.
I don't understand how you get from yes, no to the numbers.
You know what? Let me just tell you this. In 99 games out of 100, they're all yeses. They're all yeses. We got guys that are handling games. Now, I'm talking about varsity games, but we got the yeses are not what's important. What's important is the comments that come out of it and the numerical value you place on the individual's game at the end of it. In other words, that's what's rated. The yes and no's are really minor. I mean, if I can say, I'm just being honest. Somebody's fit or they're not.
So
somebody has proper mechanics or not. You know what I'm saying? It just, I mean, you're really splitting hairs there. I don't focus on that as much as I do the comments, the specific game situations that happen. If we have an altercation or a problem during a game, how is that executed, how is that handled? And I'll notice the comment section is big because I'll have 2-page game reports that I hand in. And you immediately give feedback to those individuals on those games. And the unbelievable thing, and the good news is we have people that really are accepting of taking criticism, which is good. Not universal, but for the most part, they bought into the program. Yes.
What was the question?
Do the officials rate each other? Yes. Yes. Now, having said that, I want to build on what was just said. And the first thing I want to do is strip it down. We're starting the season. We're starting the season. I want to give you a few things that I think you can strip away. We're going glass half empty first. Yes. Yes, we all have things that we need to refine. Please. Make excuses about everything. Traffic was bad. We know the traffic's bad. We live in the Washington metropolitan area. It's going to be bad every single day. If we get there early, we've taken the proper route, we've taken the proper adjustment to our schedule, and we get there, we take care of business. Then we're prepared to officiate the game. Focusing on the negatives. There aren't too many people that appreciate and like you if all you have to say is something that's negative. We have situations on a daily basis that we're faced with. Take the negatives, turn them around, take the negatives, shove them to the side. And I remember a guy in 1984 that got on the ACC staff. He thought if he got every call right, couldn't get rid of it. What he found out the first 2 years on the staff was that's not what they want. The fact that you look good, your mechanics are perfect, and you get the calls right is one single component of what you do. Especially as a young official, understand you're going to make mistakes. Understand there's compassion around that. And understand that people want you to make mistakes because the coaches, the administrators, and everybody else understands nobody's perfect. Don't be afraid to fail. Just watch the World Series. The best hitters failed 7 out of 10 times. Each and every time they come to the plate, there's a distinct possibility they're going to fail. Accept it as part of what you do. Push it to the side. Don't treat it as an obstacle. And if it is an obstacle, step over it and move on. Looking for the easy way out. Nothing worth anything was ever accomplished by not doing anything, not making changes, not accepting responsibility. An important thing in officiating is you got to change to get better. If you're expecting that man over there to give you games because you're a good guy, it ain't going to happen. You've got to apply yourself. You've got to stay physically fit. You've got to get into the rule book. You've got to apply yourself from a practical standpoint to make an effort to improve and get better on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and each and every year, you got to get better. You've got to take that attitude and approach. We don't physically beat ourselves up, but boy, do we mentally and emotionally. It's amazing. And the unbelievable thing is we allow things to stick with us that we need to let go. It's not that we don't have negative things in our life that we need to address. We need to attach significance to. But once again, we need to look at them, we need to deal with them, we need to analyze them, and we need to move forward. Being ungrateful about the things that you've been given. Each of us has so many positives in our lives. Absolutely positively need to make sure that we focus and accentuate on those and don't dwell on the negatives. We talked about being a great partner. A lot of people focus exactly on what we need, what we want, what we have. And it gets real old and it gets real boring. We're starting the season. Let's turn over a new leaf. Let's not worry so much about what we want and what we need. Let's worry about the team. Let's worry about the crew that night. Let's worry about our partners. Let's worry about what we get. It's amazing how empowering that is. We careful of getting distracted. You know, there's so much information and news out about distracted driving now. I think we can apply that to the situations that we have in our daily lives. We have an argument with our spouse. We're thinking about our kids. We're thinking about work, the situation that we just left, and we're going to officiate a basketball game. You have to be aware that there are distractions everywhere. You need to address them, you either put them in your pocket, and you need to move forward as you approach the game and get ready for the season. You've got to have a plan. I know young officials right now that are not going to move forward who can referee a bunch because they don't have the other side of their lives taken care of. They don't have direction. They're not looking for a career. They want to officiate. They're dabbling in this and dabbling in that. You got to get yourself squared away from a personal standpoint in terms of what you do for a livelihood. You need to make it a priority. And you need to worry about your avocation after that. The bottom line is, make sure you have a plan. If anybody besides me was inspired by the words that Jim Valvano said, you realize here's a man riddled with tumors in his body. And he said, don't give up, don't ever give up. That is inspiration. I'll give you a little story. About 3.5 months before he died, we were down working. I was with Larry Lembo and John Moreau, two great Division I officials. We were working Florida State, Georgia Tech at Florida State. And at that point, Jim was so sick, he was still doing commentary on the television. Sunday afternoon game, noon game, we're at the Holiday Inn, and we're getting ready to get into the van to take us to the arena. And here comes Jim. He had two people, one on each arm, and he moved so slowly, it took 10 minutes for him to get from the lobby to the car. We watched and we waited until he was seated and the car took off. We were in the van. There was not one word in the van all the way to the arena. We finally got to the locker room before any of us could speak. We realized how sick he was. But you know what? When the lights came on, he was right back up. He was right back up and right back on top of it. He made the most of everything until the day he died. Each of us doesn't have that drastic situation. And I hope we never do. But the bottom line is the one thing we can't do is we've got to keep fighting. We can't give up. Next one. Have a good show on the last one. Now let's build it back up. Believing in yourself. This relates to your crew, it relates to home life, it relates to everything. It's okay. When you believe in yourself, the incredible part that happens is, you know how you think about who gets games, who does this, who does that. When you empower yourself, you're less concerned about what everybody else gets. You're less judgmental. Excuse the expression, you're not pissing on everybody else's parade. You don't feel bad for people, you feel good for people. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you truly have that belief in yourself, you're not as worried about what everybody else is doing and being judgmental of their situation and what's going on with them. It expands the capability that you have in terms of what you can do. It expands the platform and base from which you work. And it creates a willingness to do more and the ability to accomplish more. This is really important. I know that you have people in your life who inspire you. People in your life that you respect. You can go right back to home. Many of you are still fortunate enough to have your parents. I'm sure that there's an inspiration, sacrifice that they've had in your life and something that they've inspired you to do. Brothers, sisters, your spouse, if you have kids, it takes no more than look into their eyes and see that they look to you for inspiration, for guidance, and for an example. And if that doesn't propel you to make a greater effort today, there's something wrong. Tap into that and use it to your best advantage. You don't like to be criticized, you're in the wrong business. You don't like to be booed, you have an unshakable belief in what you can do and the capabilities that you possess. I'm telling you right now, you take criticism a whole lot better. You immediately look at it and say, hey, I wonder how I can improve from that. If it's valid, let me sit. Move it to the side. But let me assess it and see how I can do better in that situation. Again, handling criticism objectively. And we all get it each and every game we work. You increase your power of persistence, which means you are steadfast in your commitment to what you're doing. How to do things, how to get better, how to improve, how to look at things objectively, and continue to push that ball up the hill. You attract miracles. You may think this may sound a little silly because miracles, of course, can't happen. But yes, they can. I look at a miracle as one thing, and that is, in the game of officiating, in the game of life, is that you do something that you really never thought you were capable of doing. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. And the unshakable belief in yourself is what propels you to be able to do something that you never thought you could do. Commit to it, move forward, and you can accomplish pretty much anything you want to do. You will become more disciplined with that firm belief in yourself. And discipline will make you stronger. It will make you more prepared. It will give you a greater platform and base from which to work, and will help you to improve your game. And the success that you currently have and what you want increases exponentially. There are no limits on what you can do. You believe that, you believe in yourself, and you can accomplish it. There they are. Let me just tell you one thing, and I want to just key on the inspiration part. We've had a long morning, but I want you to just take a deep breath. And I want you to understand the positives and the things that you have in your life that are important to you. No one is promised tomorrow. Not one of us. We are not necessarily going to be here. The bottom line is, if you do have your parents, if you do have, you have a spouse, you've got somebody at home, you've got your kids. When you leave here today, with what you have the opportunity to do in officiating, make sure that you go tell them how much you appreciate them, that you love them and you care about them. Give them a hug and a kiss, and let them know just how important they are in your life. And I'll guarantee you it'll make your day, but it'll make their day too. I hope everybody has a successful and healthy season. It's important. I wish you the best of luck, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you today.